What is up, fellow vendors? Extreme Vending here. Today we are going to talk about how you can get your own location for your mini claw machines. And this also can work for other type of vending like bulk vending or whatever. But we're going to mainly focus on the mini claw machines because that's what I'm known for. And before we get started, make sure if you haven't already done so, subscribe to this channel. This will help you grow your vending route. If you want to learn how to do that and you want to know about my experiences, make sure you are subscribed so you can get the latest content all the time. And while you're at it, in the description is my Discord link. Join our Discord. There are so many members in that Discord. It is free to become a member, obviously, and you can talk to other people who have taken my experiences and evolved it in their own way, in their own experiences, and they've grown and started their own vending route. So make sure you do that. All right, let's go ahead and get started about how you begin building a route. If this is your first time building a vending route, it can be a bit scary, obviously. So how do you get started? What do you do? A way I got started the very first time, I kind of vaguely remember my very first experience on how I found the location. I actually used Google Maps and I did a search. And this was actually after a quick plan. I did this. I've already talked about my beginning experiences in previous videos, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But I used Google Maps and I searched for keywords. And I just happened to be looking for a grocery store. And I typed that in and I found my local grocery store. And I searched through the Google images of the grocery store. And I found that throughout all the images, there were no claw machines or any type of amusement other than maybe capsule machines. But there was a big dining spot with lots of space, and you could see clearly in the images that there were outlets right there and lots of space. So using Google Maps is really useful because you can see the pictures of the inside of the stores. Now, it's not always reliable because not everyone's looking to post pictures when they share a picture of that store of open spaces or whatnot. They usually show off the food. If it's a restaurant, they usually show off product in the store. But it just so happens they were showing off that restaurant area, the dining area of the grocery store, and you could obviously see a big open spot for claw machines. So Google Maps, the main thing about Google Maps is you're going to be able to scout around areas by searching for keywords such as restaurants, buffets, IGA, grocery stores, Mexican food, Chinese food, jump centers, entertainment centers, food just in general. Those are keywords you can use. Just use your mind a little bit and find locations that way using Google Maps. Because what you want to do is you want to build a route evolving around a certain area. So when you go out to do your collections, maybe you have 4 or 5 locations within a 1 to 2 mile radius, so that when you go out and service these machines, you can service as many machines as you can in little time as possible and collect as much money as possible from that general area. That's how I build my routes. The other way of building a route, and probably more efficient, is actually just driving around a certain area. And you'll find that Google doesn't always show the latest new locations. If you have, like in Arizona, we're constantly expanding. We're a growing state all the time. Yearly, there's always new locations. And a lot of times, Google doesn't show a new location, especially when there's mom and pop shops opening up all the time. So driving around is also a very, very effective way of finding locations. And when you find that certain small mom and pop shop, you can kind of drive around and say, okay, mental note, this is off of Ray Road and Country Club. I'll have to come back here, and just keep driving and find as many spots that you can find in that block radius or that mile radius, and circle around the streets, and then you make mental notes or pin it or whatever and find 5, 6 locations. And then you start back over and you go in that very first location you found and you walk in. And that brings me to the next part. When you're building a route, you want to walk in and kind of do what Google Maps did with the images. You want to walk around the store and you want to see potential spots and find places you can put those machines in. Look for an outlet, look for a place where you can put the machines where it can get lots of traffic, and just see where it could fit. And also, when you're inside there, you actually have an additional advantage. You could actually see if there's other types of clues that this store owner will want your machines. For example, I've walked in, actually my Bosa's Donuts, for example, I walked in and there was one of those little vending boxes with the suckers. They're called like charity vending or something like that. Honor boxes. That's the name. Honor boxes. And the honor boxes was over there, so I knew she allowed some type of vending, and she liked charity vending apparently. So maybe if you have a charity program, you can offer some of your income and let them know. Be like, this is actually a machine. I donate money to charity. Yada yada yada. I'm not recommending that's what you start off with on your spiel, but I'm just saying you look for something you can relate to in that store that they've already accepted, and just try to use that as a prying point or a starting point. But look, most important, look for a spot that you can put your machines in that has good traffic, that they can, that maybe even the employees can watch your machines and make sure no one roughens up your machines that much, because most of the machines that are dealt with in my community are minis. So it's always nice to have them in front of the employees. But yeah, just look for clues. If there's capsule vending in there, if there's other types of vending in there, then you probably have a good chance that this location will accept your machine. So when you're looking for outlets, here's the thing about looking for outlets in a location. It's so frustrating when you're walking around and you don't see any outlets and you see possibilities. But I've learned, and this is actually something you'll learn right away, and this is good information. I mean, it's such a simple little tip. But there are ceiling outlets in a lot of these commercial places. So look up on the ceiling. If you don't see an outlet on the wall, or maybe it's those giant windows that look in from the entryway, and that's where you want your machine. Well, windows don't usually have electrical going through it, you know, because there are windows. But if you look up on the ceiling, you'll find that there's a TV or an open sign, and usually there's a wire plugged in. Sometimes it's wired directly through the ceiling tiles, but a lot of times there is an outlet up there, and you just need to get an extension cord, which I recommend the flat ones, not the normal commercial extension cords or whatever construction extension cords, because those are so easy to pull down. It's kind of like just flushing one of those fancy toilets with a little pull wire, you know, and someone just pulls it down and your cord comes down. I learned not to use those. You want to go to Walmart. They have these extension cables that are actually for indoors, and they're flat, and they stick up into the plug into the outlet, and they are really snug as a bug, and they don't fall down so easily. So that's kind of a little side note. You want to look on the ceiling, you want to look on the walls. Sometimes there will be a trash can or some sort of object in the way. One of my ice cream shops was a really good spot. I found it, and I was like really sad because there was no electrical. And I found out that there was this box. It looked like it was attached to the wall, but it wasn't. It was just a custom-made box that was painted and looked like a decoration that actually slid over 3 inches, and there was an electrical outlet behind that box. They were just trying to hide the outlet from the customers, and they allowed me to put my claw machine there. So sometimes there are objects in the way, but that happens. So keep an eye for that as well. And then once you find that perfect spot, you want to take your cell phone out and take a picture of that potential spot that you can visualize your machine at. And that is how you're going to get set up before you're talking to the owner of the location. So take a picture, get that ready to go, and have a picture of your claw machine ready to go. Matter of fact, even have the claw machine in your car. If it's a mini, have it ready to go so you can show the owner that mini. So the next part we're going to talk about is locating the owner. You really, really need to talk to the owner. You don't want to talk to anyone else. I mean, technically you can talk to a manager, but you absolutely, in the end, need to talk to the owner. If it's a small business, you really need to talk to that owner. Let me give you an example of why you want to talk to the owner, because if you talk to an employee, this could happen, and this has happened to me many times. Sometimes I'm just trying to relate to the employee, not even thinking about this, and I know not to do this, but sometimes I just talk to an employee trying to get the manager, or the owner out, and I'll be like showing them a picture of the employee, because sometimes the employees are like, well, you need my owner, and you show them a picture and you talk about it, and they're like, oh, that's cool. And then you'll see the employee go out there and talk to the owner, because maybe the owner's in the back of the kitchen if it's a restaurant, and you hear the employee, hey, someone's out front. They want to talk to you. And then you'll hear the owner, what about? Well, they want to put a claw machine in here. And the owner will be like, I don't want that. And then the employee comes back out and says, oh, the owner doesn't want that. He doesn't want to talk to you. And it just messed up everything, because the owner doesn't know what you have. They're thinking you're trying to sell them something, or maybe they think that you're trying to sell the claw machine and get money out of them. They don't know that you're actually trying to do a business deal. You're not selling anything. You're trying to offer them. And then secondly, if they think of a claw machine, they might be thinking of those ones at Walmart that are beat up and kicked on and had gum all over it, and they're as ugly as can be and out of date, and they're huge. And you're thinking to yourself, because a lot of these mom and pop shops are just small businesses, and the owner's not going to have, in their mind, they're not going to have space for a claw machine, not knowing that the claw machine is most likely what you're offering is a mini. So you want to talk to the owner. And here's something else I've learned when you're talking to the manager. Sometimes the manager is actually the spouse of the owner, or sometimes that is the owner. And what they're saying is that they're the manager, so they're in charge, but they're also being a little bit protective because they want to make sure you're not trying to sell them anything. Because you'll see that some of these businesses, like houses, will say no soliciting, and you're not trying to sell something. So sometimes talking to the manager is actually talking to the owner. So treat the manager like as if they are the owner. And sometimes you can get that feeling that you are talking to the owner. And there's been a few times where I thought for sure that this manager was the owner, and I've been wrong. But I talked to them, and they honestly did help me out get to the owner. So talking to the manager is not necessarily a bad thing, but in the end you do want to talk to the owner because the manager can mess it up. But treat the manager like the owner, and hopefully sometimes it is the owner. Try not to confuse you guys so much about that, but you really just want to talk to the owner. So that's what I wanted to say to you about trying to locate the owner. Now, when you're prepping to talk to the owner, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared because honestly, even now, it's kind of like it to sports. I remember wrestling every time, even though I'd done it so many times in high school, I would wrestle every match right before the go time, like minutes before, my heart would start pounding. I get kind of like an adrenaline boost, and you're just ready for this thing to happen. You're just kind of pumped up. That is how it is every time, even now for me when I approach an owner. Even though I'm confident, and even though I have a YouTube channel, I take a pride in myself, I still get my adrenaline going, and I get a little bit nervous, and that's okay. That is part of growing your business. You got to take chances, and you got to go out and do it. And, getting a location is kind of like having a crush on someone. I'm going to relate this to someone that you like possibly. And what I mean by that, the worst thing ever is having a crush on someone and never telling them how you feel, right? Because every day you see them, maybe you guys are close friends, or maybe you just are acquaintances, or maybe you're in high school and you share a classroom with them. The worst feeling is sitting next to them or being with them all the time and wishing that you would have the courage to tell them, hey, I like you, you want to go on a date, blah, 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 because you never will know the answer. A rejection is actually better than not knowing, because when you get a no, if you like that someone, you get a no, you can finally move on and be like, okay, this person's not compatible with me, they don't see me that way, I can move on and maybe set my goals to someone else, or set your eyes on someone else, and at least you can move on, is what I'm trying to say. So a no is not really a bad thing. And that's how it is with trying to get locations. If you're trying to get a location and you see this restaurant and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want my claw machine in there, I hope they say yes, but you're too scared to go and approach, then the answer will never be a yes. But when you go in there, that owner will, then you get that chance to talk with the owner, then you have a shot. And if they say no to you, and it doesn't feel good to get no, but at least you can be like, okay, I can move on, I can take my claw machine, and I can find another spot, find another location. And you'll find that each time that you go out and put yourself out there, that each time you talk to an owner, it actually does get easier. It's not, like I said, I still get a little bit nervous, but it gets easier and easier and easier. And as you do it more and more often, it becomes like second nature to you. Remember though, you're also not trying to sell anything to these owners. When you're talking to them, you're not trying to sell anything. You are offering them a special service that's for free. When you're offering them a vending machine or a claw machine or whatever, you're giving them an attraction to their business. so that kids or families can enjoy and ooh and ah and have a little bit of fun while they're waiting for their food or their meals, or while they're shopping around, their kids can go and enjoy themselves and not run up and down the aisles of the store. You're giving them a service, something to give them additional money too for that business, because most of the time, unless you're Howard Hospitality Group, you're going to be offering the store a percent of your earnings. And that's where we're going to turn it to talking to the actual owner. What do you actually say to the owner? And this part, you want to be ready to go with some sort of visual. So when the owner comes out to finally talk to you, have a picture ready to go. Remember that picture I told you about of the possible location too? If they're out there with you, even show them that spot and show them the picture of the machine and point to the spot, or show them a picture of that spot and tell them where your machine would be and show them the picture of the machine. You want them to visually be able to see that this can fit in their store. Because a lot of times, if it's a small store, they're going to be like, oh, we have no room for a claw machine. And that's why you want to have a picture ready to go. And that's why you want to show them where it can fit. Because that will actually change their mind. Because I've had people, owners, about to tell me no and be like, well, I do have a spot that I know it will fit. It'll be out of the way. And sometimes that changes the tune of the owner. And even having the machine with you ready to go on hand, if you're talking to them and they are talking back and you can see that they're kind of slightly interested, be like, you know what, sir or ma'am or whomever, I actually have a machine in my trunk. I can show it to you really fast. And you'll be surprised how many owners will actually want to see that machine in person. And so they'll even go out to the parking lot or offer to bring it to them. And I like to offer to bring it to them, because if I can get that machine in the store and I can show them what it looks like in the spot that I've already predicted where the machine will go, I will grab that machine as soon as they say, yeah, bring it in. And I'll bear hug it, carry it in, and wobble it in there, and I'll have it set up, ready to go, and be like, I can even plug it in and get it all ready to go for you. And I'll open it all up, take 5 minutes to unwrap it, and I'll put some toys in there and show them what it looks like. And they'll get a better visual. And once you're at that point, I would say you're pretty much in. But if you can bring that machine to them and show them, let them touch it, that is such a good sign of getting the location. And that leads me to the next part of having toys ready to be shown. You want to show the owners, if they're talking to you and they're interested in the machine or they are getting kind of excited, you can kind of just tell by the conversation. If the conversation is going good and such, you know that you're doing well. Have toys ready to go, because now you got to show him what kind of product you're putting in there. And I like premium toys such as Pokemon, Disney plush, anime characters such as Dragon Ball Z, Pokeballs, anything Nintendo, and you show them the best of your plush, and you show them this is some of the stuff that I put in here. And just show them, let them hold it, maybe even give it to them so that they can have it. And sometimes giving them something makes them feel obligated to give you more of a yes. And so don't be afraid to give someone a Pokemon plush, a premium plush. And that also should upsell your machine to them. And some things you want to mention when you're talking to the owner is you want them to know, and I do this like 3 or 4 times. I tell them I maintain the machines, and let them know that I service the machines very often. I'm a very active vendor. I'm not a typical vendor. Like some people, when they think of vending, they think of bulk vending. And not against bulk vending, but when you put bulk vending in, you're only there probably once every 2-3 months, unless it's a really busy location, correct? Well, I let them know, look, I service my machines every 2 weeks. I'm there checking on them every 2 weeks, and I will maintain these machines and keep them clean. I will service them, maintain them, and refill them. And then if they ask, and then you also want to tell them if they're not interested still, or they're thinking about it, you let them know that you are going to share the money with them. Try not to get into percents yet. If you can avoid doing percents altogether and just put the machine in there, then you're doing really well. But I do offer money, and if they do ask, try to word it like this. Be like, I try to share as much as possible. I try to share about 50-50 after product costs, expenses, and such. And truthfully, it's more like a 25-75 or a 30-70. Maybe we'll take that. But I try to avoid percents as much as possible unless they physically ask, and then I go into the percents. And that's when I tell them, here, I'll give you 30%. It's really like a 50-50 because I pay for the product, I pay for the insurance, I pay for blah, 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 blah. You just make your list, have that in your mind. But usually if they're excited, they'll just let you put it in there and they won't even talk about their cut. So that's kind of a cool thing to be looking forward to. Look for those signs. And then show them the owner the picture of the Mini, obviously. Tell them they're super tiny. So if you don't have the machine on hand, or they don't see it and you're going through your spill, you want to tell them how small it is, and something you can like look on the ground. Sometimes these store owners use tile, and a lot of them will have like commercial size tile, like 10-inch, 11-inch, 12-inch, and be like, look on the ground, that's about the size of the Mini right there. And they'll be like, what? How can it be that small? Or if it's a restaurant, point to a high chair and be like, it's the size of this high chair. It's actually smaller than a high chair because the base goes out so far. Or point to, if they have other capsule machines, show them the size of those capsule machines that they already have in there, like some of those bubblegum machines and such, or like a triple head, and be like, it's smaller than that triple head right there. And then they start kind of getting an idea of what size the machine is. And another tip, when you're showing a picture, maybe have yourself in that picture standing next to a machine so that they can have a visual seeing of a human next to a machine. So that's always nice to have too. And then when you're finishing your sales pitch or whatnot, let them know that if this does not work out, they're not happy with the machine, if they're not happy with your service, that it's just a phone call away. You can load this up and take it out anytime they want. I don't try to do 3-year commitments. I don't try to do a year commitment. I think I rather build a business. I rather build a relationship with that business owner, and so that's how I view building the business. And I let them know, I'm a family business. I'm a small business owner. I want to build a relationship with you. I want you to believe in me. I want you to trust me. And I will constantly service these machines, and you'll know that I'm honest, because these machines, and this is something else you can explain to them when they're getting their cut, these machines keep track of all the money that goes in there. There's an audit, and I'll show them the audit, and I'll be like, here, I put $1 in here, go in the menu, and look, it counted that dollar. And I know to pay you a percent off the total sales. And the owners, and I'll be like, I can text you a photo of every time I collect. I can Zelle you whatever you want. However you want to get paid, that's how I'll pay you. I try to honor the owner's wishes on getting paid, because I want that location. And usually the owners that work with you and talk with you, they usually do love those minis. And so you'll find that if the owner loves that mini, they might have other locations. My ice cream shop, for example, I love my ice cream shops. They do so well. We have one, two, three, four, 5 ice cream shops now with this certain branch, and they actually have another spot they want me to bring a machine in. And then there's another ice cream shop a few miles away that the owner loves, but they're not located. They don't have another store in Arizona, unfortunately. But they said that if they ever expanded, they would let me bring another machine in their ice cream shop. Excuse me. So anyhow, so the owners, if they love the minis, they can actually expand you and make deals with you, and you'll have if they have other locations, they'll let you put your minis in their other locations. And then also, owners have fellow businessmen that may have, or family members that may have their own stores, and they'll also refer you to them. And so you can start expanding that way too. That happens so many times for me. So you want to build a great relationship with the owners. Okay, so we talked about what you talk to the owners about, but let's say the owner ends up rejecting you in the end, and you're just sad, Don't worry about it too much, because now, like I said, it's better to know that a no than never knowing at all. Most likely you'll get a yes, but if you do get a no, don't be discouraged, because that's actually good, because now you can move on and you can leave. Make sure when you leave on good terms. So I'll explain to you why this is so important, because maybe the no will turn into a yes later. A no is not that bad. So you learn to move on and you come back in a future time, because there have been times where I've been really close and I've been told a no, and it's a bit depressing. And I go next door to the other mom and pop shop next door, and I talk to that owner. and that owner will say yes. And this is kind of like a fun way of getting revenge. Not saying that you want to have revenge, obviously, but it kind of just sticks it to them that say no, and you just are a little heartbroken about it. And the owner next door will say yes, and you put your machine in that store next door. Then the owner has like kind of the owner that originally says no to you will have some sort of like jealousy issues, kind of like a real relationship, and they'll see that the other store next door is getting all these people, all this extra attractions from the kids or whatnot, and kids will be going in there, leaving their store, walking out to go next door to play, and leave their store to go play that machine next door, and then they'll realize I should have said yes, and later they'll contact you, and I've had this happen where I've had a store owner say no to me next door, the other store says yes, and then later the originally store says no, will contact me and then want me to put a machine in there or whatnot. And that's really kind of fun, because you're like, I told her so, but not in a rude way. So you want to leave on good terms, and then there's been times where I've been told no, and then I come back a few months later or whatnot, and things have changed. Their minds have changed, or maybe they're in a better mood, and they'll say yes. Or maybe you're talking to another partner, like maybe it's a marriage, and let's say the wife says no, and then you come back later and then you talk to the husband, and the husband will say yes, or vice versa. So you never know. You just want to leave on good terms. So don't be upset when you get a no. Just move on, learn from that experience. Just enjoy the moment. That take pride in yourself. Really take pride in yourself, because you're going out there and you are building a business. A lot of people are too afraid to do and don't believe that this is even possible, and they think it's like a scam or too much, very fake. So I can't tell you how many times people thought vending is fake. Like my in-laws and some of the friends I have, they thought vending was a phony baloney career, and they're working every single day, 9 to 5, getting called in on their days off, going to work when they're sick or whatnot, being told what to do by their bosses, being laid off or whatever's going on, or being told that you're replaceable, and it's because they didn't have the vision. So take pride in yourself, and remember that feeling when the owner does say yes, because that feeling's a great feeling, and obviously you got that location, and build that relationship up with that owner. Take really good care of them, and you can keep growing. And like I said, take pride in yourself. Believe in yourself. When you're going out to get these locations, I know it can be scary at first, but believe in yourself, because like I said, you're doing something that most people will not do, because they didn't get out of their comfort zone. They didn't go out and try to build a business. I mean, look at Amelia. Amelia is 11 years old. If you don't know who Amelia is, subscribe to the Howard Hospitality channel. Amelia is 11 years old. She's a little girl, and she is got the coolest story. She used to be scared, and she'll say that she was awful, and I think that's so adorable. But you know what? Doesn't matter how awful you were. At least she went out and tried to get the locations, and now she goes up to the owners, and it's funny. It makes me laugh. She goes up to the owners of these big franchises and big stores and be like, I need to talk to the owner. And they're like, well, I am the owner. And she's like, well, I'm the owner of my business too. And she'll hand them a business card or whatever, or their picture, and she'll do her spiel about getting the claw machines. And she will impress these owners, and she gets locations that way. And she pays 0%, by the way. She is the goddess of claw machines and vending. So shout out to Howard Hospitality Group. Take a look at their channel. They are awesome. But take pride in yourself. Believe in yourself. It gets easier every time you approach. But just take my tips and try to expand on it. Twist it and do it in your own comfortable way. Maybe you have a different way of viewing things, a different approach. I have a friend that would take his claw machine, put it on the battery pack, put it on a dolly, and walk around the store to store in the middle of the night when the claw machine could glow brightly and beautifully, and he would go around to business owner to business owner in a like strip mall or whatnot, and even a mall, and just that's the kind of courage he had. And he would walk in, and he had business owners track him down, because they would see he would talk to business, and then next thing you know, someone's waving him down, be like, hey, can you tell me more about this? And he'll get the location. And so you just got to think outside the box. Just have the courage to do it, guys. You can do it. I know you can. This is so, once you get going, it's so easy and it's so much fun to be a part of. And those who doubt you, even your family members, once you get going and you get these locations and they start seeing the money, then you'll realize how much support. They'll start realizing how successful you are. Then they'll start supporting you, and then it's funny because they'll want to be part of the business. And you'll be like, well, you got to do it yourself, or maybe you make a deal like I did and make a deal with your brother or family member. But anyways, it's part of being, part of growing is being scared, but just go forward with it. And I hope you guys take my advice and learn from it. And I hope this helps you out because I want you to be successful. I want you to join the Discord and share your experiences. I want you to share photos and videos and talk about it and take pride in yourself and just have a lot of fun doing it. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys found this interesting, or you want to keep yourself up to date, like I said, with some of the content, join the Discord, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the love and support. You guys are a great community, and it's so much fun to be a part of this. And thank you for your time, and I hope that this helps someone. And I'll talk to you guys another time in another video and show you another collection. See ya.